there's a lot of red tape behind the scenes is what I'll say. And the show should have been back. We were never canceled.
Right.
It was the network and the producers at the time. They wanted, everybody gets greedy.
This is the Cats and Pudding Podcast. A melting pot of pudding. And now, here's Jen.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Cats and Pudding. And I'm Jennifer DeLandro, and today I have a wonderful guest, my friend, the great Karen Gravano. There she is. She's
Thank you for having me, beautiful. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here, too. It's going to be a fun interview.
Yes.
So I'm going to start the ball running, and I'm going to start out by just talking about your life. And everybody knows, you are on a little show called The Mob Wives. And
a little big show.
A big show. So let's talk about that. Let's start in with how that came to be.
So Mob Wives actually came to fruition. Jennifer Gravano, who was Renee's sister, was a friend of mine, and we were actually talking about doing a scripted show together. So she came to me one day and she's like, oh, they're casting this show for women whose husbands went to prison and whatever. And I'm thinking about casting Drita, my sister. What do you think? I was like, that's a great idea. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't even thinking, because to me, reality TV was not for me. I didn't want to drag all my baggage and dump it to the world.
Well, in that lifestyle, we're not supposed to.
Right. So I happened to come when they were filming the sizzle reel, and the guy was like, you have to get on it. And just because we all knew each other, and that's one thing about that show, is we all had history. It wasn't just like a cast. It wasn't
scripted. You guys grew up together in the, it's a close-knit neighborhood, and everybody knows everybody.
Exactly. So I was just there, and we were like, on camera, whatever. And when they cut the reel, it was like, you have to be in it. So I'm like, oh, whatever. I started thinking about it, and it was on the premise of women who went through a struggle. Right. So you go through a struggle, and you survive, and you come out on top. And that's what we were all thinking. That's what it all started. And I agreed to be on it. And then it just went from it wasn't going to be called Mob Wives at all. We were actually going to stay away from that. Mm-hmm. But, hence now in hindsight, looking back, that was the hook and reel. Right. And obviously I had the biggest name on the show. So I was like the sinker, right? Hook, line, and sinker. And
you were definitely the hook.
Yes. Yep. And it was, if you would have interviewed me back then, I probably was in a place where, it was just a lot of fighting and cattiness going on. So it was aggression. But now, to be honest, I sit back and I look at it, and it was a great experience. I speak to most of the women. There's, some that I will never speak to forever, ever. Right. But it was a springboard. It kind of gave me opportunities to go in other directions. Opened doors for you. Yes. I was executive producer. I produced my own show on MTV called Families of the Mafia. So I had that opportunity.
Very good show.
Yes.
And now you're starting some other opportunities now. Yes. You have some other things that are in the stove brewing now.
Brewing, yes. I was in LA last week, and I would just say that the writer's strike is over, and everything's back open, and I'm working on a project that hopefully I can announce soon. It's a scripted project. So.
And that's something that you've always wanted to be involved with.
Yes.
That's always something that I wanted to be involved with too. I always liked the whole production thing and working in the development and a project. So it's something we always shared that we liked.
And it's very different, so it's very exciting. It's like a new experience for me. If I would have thought about reality TV back then, I probably would have been like, no way, I'm not going to do it. I'm glad I did, because it was an experience, and I have some great memories. And like I said, it was just such an opportunity that led me to other places. So I'm grateful for it.
Listen, it was a good show, and everybody is, let's be honest, very, very, very interested in the mob and Italians from New York. It's just something that it's a big interest, and I think kind of like now in the industry, it kind of like fluctuates. I think it goes in tiers and tropes. Yes. So where do you think it is right now? Do you think that that's something that people are interested in again?
Yeah, very. I think. There was just Getting Gotti, right? Yep. It was the #1 show on Netflix. So there's always going to be that interest in the mob, and I think especially in that time period.
Well, that was the golden era.
And like the news media was, and the world was infatuated. And I can say the world now, because if you would have asked me this question a while back, I'd have been like, no, because we live in our small little bubble.
Right.
So we never really looked outside. No. But even being on these shows gave me the opportunity to realize, like, I think Families of the Mafia was #1 in Israel, and Mob Wives was so many different countries that we were very big in. So there's that interest for it and intrigue, and I think it will always be there, and I think it will forever grow. I think there's been so many documentaries on my father and John and their situations, and I really didn't know how much more they can make, but they keep making them, and it's just they're very, very they do very well.
Yeah, I mean, people don't understand the type of background and the type of how we grew up, because I grew up in a similar situation. I grew up in Howard Beach, too, and we did live in a bubble, and it was like the people that were around us, they were the movie stars,
right?
They were those who the people that we were the movie stars. So we lived in our own basic little world of La La Land, and but it was organized crime. But those were,
and we didn't talk about it.
And we didn't talk about it, right? We didn't talk about it, but that was the way we lived. It was in many, many ways, it was a great way to live. Our neighborhoods were safe.
Yes, very safe.
Right, were safe. They were well kept. Everybody, pretty much got along. We were in line. I mean, there was things that would happen, but it was a nice way to grow up, and everybody knew each other. Right. And
I think when the men got involved into that lifestyle, they knew.
Yes.
They knew what world and what, they were getting involved, but it was a protection. So even, bringing it back to the mob, Cosa Nostra was this thing of ours, and it was, in Italy, they protected their neighborhoods, they protected their families. And that's what I felt growing up. The crime and all that other stuff, I didn't see that.
Right.
To me, it was families, parties, growing up. That's why even with my particular story, I kind of had my struggles when my father, cooperated and went outside. It was like I didn't feel welcome. And I think a big thing, we were just talking about this, because when I did Mob Wives, people were skeptical. They were talks that I shouldn't come back, I shouldn't do the show. They were trying to put pressure on the producers and stuff. And, I was getting this, hearing it, but the producers were like, no, we're doing the show because of her. So my opening line was, F John Gotti, F Sammy the Bull, I'm coming home and I'm gangster. And everyone misinterpreted that because they felt like I was saying it to the girls, but in reality, I'm just saying this is everybody. Something that I want to do. This is my life.
You.
I'm trying to.
You're not being. You're your own person. You're not Sammy.
Right.
You're not John. You're not this. You're not their relationship.
Right. This is about the aftermath of that and what I went through.
Well, the problem is that it's politics, and, and a lot of people don't understand the politics of that lifestyle. We do understand the politics because we grew up in that in that realm. So it is a lot of a lot of things, rules, and a lot of things that have to be, that are expected.
Right.
So
yeah, I think everyone was in shock when they first, I guess when the first advertisement for the show came out, and it's like Mob Wives, everyone's like, wait, she's on it, and Hence, after a while, it became about the women and fighting, and it really.
But that's what it really was about at that point. I mean, that was the hook to get everybody to start watching it. Right. But it was about you. It was about the girls. It was about your relationships. It was about the the trials and tribulations of how you grew up, of dealing with men in jail, fathers in jail, living in that lifestyle. It's things that people are very interested in, and people are fascinated by it.
Right.
As soon as people hear from Howard Beach, they're like, oh, did you hang out with John? Did you hang out with this? Oh yeah, I lived in the same neighborhood, of course. You know what I mean? But it's like we didn't look at it like that. To us, when we saw him, like we looked at him like, oh, we love you. It was great. We love the guy.
Yeah.
We didn't look at it like how everybody else looked at it, from a different perspective. You know, because it was a family-orientated neighborhood, like you said. Like we were in our own little bubble. So so people got a chance to look into that part. And that's a good part of it.
Right.
There's not just bad parts of it. There's really good parts of it. So I think that the show brought that out too, and saw that you have families and that you children, and it's not it's about real people, and it is the Italian culture is a great culture.
Yes. We're very loud. We love hard and we fight hard.
Right.
So.
We talk with our hands.
We talk with our hands. Sometimes we're misinterpreted, but it was a great experience.
And you know, it opened doors for you. And now look, now you're going to be doing a scripted show now.
Yes,
You're going to go to
I'm
La
working
La
on a
Land.
scripted,
Did you ever think that a girl from Staten Island that would happen to?
No, but that was always my dream. And you know, the show, I can't really talk about it now because we're, you know, but it's going to be a lot of creativity to be brought to it, and through my experiences and stuff. So it should be really good, and I'm excited. And like, this is where you get together and you're working with writers and you're really creating something that's, you know, amazing. And like, even like 50 Cent, he's creating all these shows now, and he's doing spin-offs and stuff, which I think is, you know, brilliant. And he's really kind of tapped into that market. But for me, like, this could be an opportunity to be able to take things, because I feel like a lot of times I just get like, you know, you kind of pigeonholed into you're the mafia. And I'm just so much more.
You're
than
so
that.
much more than that. You know, you don't want to just be like, that's checked off that box. That's you.
She's a mob wife. She's a mob daughter.
That's it.
Yeah,
you know, it's kind of, but that's what happens to a lot of people. Even, you know, a lot of actors too. Look at what's his name, Austin Butler.
Yes.
They're saying he can't get cast anymore for anything because he sounds like Elvis. Like, basically, he'll never lose that. Same thing with Johnny Depp. He sounds like Jack Sparrow. Like, that's it. He'll never lose that, you know, Jack Sparrow.
That's
he
what
sounds
happens,
like, now he sounds like Keith Richards because he's getting older. That's who he based Jack Sparrow on. But but that they become pigeonholed in that character, and then they can't get out, and it's hard for them to cast. But if, you know, listen, it's about talent, and you're talented. You know, you are, and you know what you want to do. So, and you know what you're aspiring to. You know that this is something that you've always wanted to be involved with. So I'm sure you can jump out of that pigeonhole.
Jump out of it and jump
out
into another.
and flap your wings and fly out of the pigeonhole. So I'm so excited for you. And you just opened up a new place.
Yes.
A new, what are we calling it? A Medi Spa? What are we calling it?
It's like a wellness spa.
A wellness spa.
So, focuses on non-invasive body contouring, facials, you know, hopefully.
Some Botox.
Some Botox.
Oh, I'll be there. Dolce will be having, definitely making appearances there, that's for sure, for my girl.
So it's in New Jersey, Hazlitt, New Jersey.
Nice area.
Skin has always been my focus.
Because you've been an esthetician for a long time, and a lot of people didn't know that about you. You know,
I'll age myself. Since '97, I've been an esthetician before I had my daughter, and I stepped away from it. You know, here I was, and this opportunity for Mob Wives came knocking, and I'm like, and I was thinking at that particular time, it was like the height of reality TV, right? So we're going to do a reality show. I'm going to be like the Kardashians.
Right.
You know,
and it doesn't work that way with everybody.
At all.
But honestly, they also had other businesses. They didn't just do the show. And for me, with reality, I've been asked to do plenty of shows, and anybody who ever asked me to do it, I'd say, well, is this going to affect my business in a positive way or a negative way? So we were approached to do Mob Wives and Girls in Our Neighborhood too, and other different shows like that too, and I would sit back and say, well, is it going to be a positive, or a negative? And certain things you have to say to yourself, is that what you want to do? So if you are going to do a reality show, I feel like it's either to use it as a stepping stone for something else, for a business, or another venture. Because let's be honest,
just have Kris Jenner as your manager.
Right,
I'm like, where's Kris? The middle through.
Maybe
I'm like,
she's my mom. Could she be my manager now?
So I was like,
my momager.
I want my momager, Kris.
But she
was amazing at what she did for their brand.
Yeah.
And I think back then, reality TV had the opportunity to do that. And I'm not saying that we didn't, because we definitely had brands. We put stuff out there. I mean, even I just did the grand opening for my spa, and people came that followed me from Mob Wives.
Yes.
So it definitely worked to my favor. I think for me personally, I kind of got caught up in the bickering of the show.
Right.
And it was so real to me because we really knew each other that I really wasn't focused like, just let that go. I wasn't able to step away from it.
You were able to say, okay, this is my work.
Right.
Now I have to
let me go do my business. I was
now.
still in, I want to kill someone on
but that's what happens when you're involved. Because, I mean, listen, I have a lot of friends who are done shows. I've done shows. You get so wrapped up in it, and it's like you really, and you really like that becomes like your whole life.
Right. No.
And it's funny because they'll have friends and clients who are on shows that they're on now, and they're talking to me about something like, "Can you believe that this happened with so and so?" And I'm like, "What?" Like I have no clue what you're talking about, but they're so wrapped into it. Unless you watch the show consistently, you don't know what's going on. And 90% of the time, I don't know because I don't. First of all, I have no time to sit and watch reality shows because I work 7 days a week.
Know how you
but I don't know how I do it. But it's like they're so wrapped up and they think like because they're so in that moment and in that time that of that argument that's all that they're able to like focus on.
Right.
So it's hard. I mean, it becomes very taxing not only on you physically but mentally.
Oh yeah, and like I said, for us, we were very unique because we all did grow up with each other.
Right.
Like even Big Ange, I knew her since I was a kid. I used to go on vacations with her uncle, and she was there. She used to come to my father's nightclub. Not that I was allowed. I never really seen her there, but family parties and stuff. So it was way deeper, than just the show.
Yeah.
And we couldn't just detach from it because
Right.
it's like, okay, the cameras go down, but we're still here in Staten Island. So
Right.
it was like,
It's like
let me see this bitch here in this restaurant.
Let me see her walking down because
I know.
do something now.
I'll tell you a funny story. Jennifer, who's the executive producer, so I was with her a lot in the show. So, we're filming, whatever. I get in the car, we leave, and I'm just going and going and going. And she has asthma, right? She's like, "You're gonna give me an asthma attack," and she's like,
You're
in
like,
the
"You
car.
better get your inhaler,
And
'cause I'm gonna keep going."
Yeah, we wound up in the hospital, and I'm like sitting there with her, and I'm watching, and she's on the breathing machine and stuff. And then the nurse comes in, they take her off. They're like, "Okay, I go, "Is she good?" They're like, "Yeah." I go, "Can I just tell you one more thing before?" She's like, "Get her out of here."
You gotta go.
She's like, "Let it go." I'm like, and now I could laugh about it, right?
Right.
It's funny, and
but you were involved. You were
yes,
wrapped up.
I've grown a lot from that. Yes.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
How long has it been now?
I think the show, I believe it ended in 2016. And listen, there's always been talks of it coming back, which it's a lot of there's a lot of red tape behind the scenes is what I'll say. And the show should have been back. We were never canceled.
Right.
It was the network and the producers at the time. They wanted, everybody gets greedy. They start seeing money. So it was, and they were making a lot of money from what I hear. But
that always seems to be the downfall of everything.
yes, greed. And then
it's always the people who don't have all their money who usually suffer for it. It's usually that's who suffers.
And then it kind of fell into the whole Harvey Weinstein drama.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know if people know, but like Mob Wives was his show. Like he's the one that actually pushed it to the network. I mean, yeah, once he stepped in, it was a bidding war,
right? And
everybody wanted the show. And we always call it the Harvey factor. And he did put a lot to it. I know people in Hollywood had really bad experiences with him. I never did. I mean, I met him on multiple times.
Him and his brother did everything in Hollywood at that time. I mean, every if you look at every movie from like the late late 80s till like you said like about 2016. And Weinstein
Yeah.
was everything.
I know. My first
TV
meeting with
shows.
him was like, I thought I was around gangsta. I said, "You're the real gangster, Harvey. You control this whole
He controlled the
world."
whole place. He did.
Right.
That's true. That is true.
So, like I said, for me, I never had a bad experience. But then we weren't his. I don't think we were really his type. He liked beautiful, tall runway models, and we were like this loud-mouthed. Yeah.
He probably thought he'd get punched in the face if so he tried to do something to you guys.
I'll tell you a funny story because when we went on a pitch, Harvey was actually with us. So we all went in. And nobody, like when they pitch reality shows, it's usually the producers that go. But they actually, because I guess we were so unique in the way we like talked or whatever, they wanted us there.
They wanted them to hear you.
Yes. They bring us to this meeting.
So funny.
And, Drita and I spoke about the whole boyfriend lead thing. It was like never an issue. So Harvey's sitting there quiet. I don't remember what network we're pitching, and he's quiet, and he's just sitting there. And all of a sudden, everyone's talking, and Harvey goes, "Karen, why don't you tell them how you and Drita shared the same man?" And I go, "We didn't share the same man." So it's like, whatever, and the whole network's like, what? And they were very interested, obviously, in that storyline, which pretty much went the whole, every season through the whole existence of the show. So she was so tight, like her neck started getting, her veins started coming out and stuff. And I'm like, so we leave, and she's like, "I don't ever want to talk about that again." Whatever. So, but she wasn't saying just that.
Now
She's
you
like,
guys were talking at the time,
yeah, it was
and so basically the show made you guys really rip your
so
relationship
when she walks out, she's like, "I'm gonna crack Harvey's head. He ever says that again." But we're talking amongst each other. fast forward, season 1 reunion, and she's acting like this was never a topic. We never talked about it, whatever. So in the thing, there's like, when you do a reunion, everybody's there. The whole studio's filled with like executives from the networks, and everyone's watching us. And we're all like, now we're in the heat of we want to kill each other, right? So it was probably
no
one of the
idea
most
how to handle Italians from Brooklyn and Staten Island.
Security, they had security, whatever. So we're sitting
They
there.
need more than security for that.
And all of a sudden, me and her like sitting, me and Drita. And I'm like, you knew it was going to come. And I said something, and I was like, why don't you tell everyone how you wanted to pop Harvey Weinstein's head off? And all of a sudden, the executives from the Weinstein go, cut, that's not going on. I'm like, he's like, you guys can't leave Harvey out of it. I'm like, okay. It was just funny. We have so many stories like that, but.
Now, you still don't talk to Drita?
Never.
And what about, and you talk to Carla, and obviously Ramona.
Ramona, yes.
We
she
love
comes
Ramona.
with the
And
package
Marissa.
Marissa.
She's going to be doing my show today, too.
Yes, she's amazing.
I know,
love
she's
Marissa.
great. I
will
Marissa.
say this, and I always say, everyone's like, when they ask about the cast members, and she came on in the last season, but I was like, that bitch didn't flinch. Like, she just came in with her, if she felt a certain kind of way, she stuck to it.
Right.
Sometimes when you get in scenes and you're filming all the time, people's, they tend to like wishy-washy or flip-floppers, as we would call them.
She stuck to her.
She stuck to her guns. And that last thing where we had the fight with Drita and the girl Brittany or whatever.
Who was it? Wait, who's
it was
the girl?
me and Marissa.
Well, who's the girl Brittany? I've refreshed my memory.
Another flip-flopper. She came on the show as...
Was she that blonde one?
Yes.
Was she like from Philadelphia or something?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why did they even bring...
her father actually was in prison with my father.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Her mother...
But did you guys have any contact before?
Not really with her before, but I knew her father. Her father was in prison with my father for a long time. So she's really, involved. And her mother has, knows people or whatever.
Right.
But, the show, like, we kind of pitted against each other.
Right.
So, she's Team Drita or whatever. And Marissa's, sitting here. So we're in this big table. And Drita's doing her usual... First of all, by the time the 6th season came, like, we were going everywhere. They had, like, professional security. Like, these guys were, like, snipers from the back. So
they needed them for you guys.
So they had them around.
How many fights did you get into with Drita?
A lot.
How many? Actual physical altercations.
1, 2... 2 physical, but I think one, like, we were right there, throwing plates at each other or stuff like that. It was, it was an interesting time. But anyway, when we walked in, Drita went to go flip the table, and, I came up, I had this whip in my hand, like, it was because I knew we couldn't get near each other before. I was like, there's no way we could fight, so it's just going to be a screaming match.
Right.
And listen, for reality TV, it's better. People want to watch something visual. Once you start fighting, they break it up really quick.
Yeah.
But, and
a lot of people don't like that anymore.
Yeah.
The new generation, like our generation don't care. Generation X's are fine. What they were like, we want to see some people duke it out. Well, fine. But it's the kids. They don't, it's funny that they don't want to see it it's like they're not into it.
Well, I know, and you start seeing a lot of shows now, everybody just attacks each other.
Yeah.
So you're not really getting the true stories, and
I find that so many shows now are so negative. Like I don't. That's why I don't even want to watch them, because it's like there's nothing fun about it. Everybody that's on it is either angry or depressed,
right?
Or gonna be angry or depressed. That's it. There's nothing else to it. It's like I want to see something with fun. I want to see reality TV that's fun. Like we're working on a show right now, and it's pitched to be a fun show. Is there going to be drama? Yes. But
there's always drama.
It's going to be funny, and it's not even going to be scripted funny. It's just going to be funny just because of what it's about. It's going to be funny. And that's what I feel like people want to see now, because it's a constantly negativity that I want to shut it off.
Right. And that's where I feel like we were headed. And people have told me that after it was like too much. Season 6, we're all killing each other.
Well, I mean, so it was like you meet each other in restaurants, you'd have a couple words, and then the table would be flipped, the glasses would be broken.
And production did try to stop us. Like, they didn't want that. They kind of like, in the beginning, it was great. These women are, feisty. They're gonna... But then it just started escalating, and then they were losing control.
Italian women aren't gonna let shit go. You do something to Italian, it's forever. You hate that person forever. They're either the worst or the best. That guy, he's the best in the world. That guy, he stepped on my foot 20 years ago. I hope he fucking dies. Like, that's how Italians are. That's it. It's not they're the best or the worst. So if you guys are fighting, it's always gonna be an argument, right?
So yeah, it was crazy. But Marissa, like I said, she didn't sway. And I remember when Drita got up to go push the table and people were flinging dishes, and I just look over and Marissa's like, just sitting there. She was calm. She's ready. You know, she's very classy, but she'll throw down.
She'll throw down.
She will throw down.
Yeah.
So I love her. She's feisty.
Yeah, she's feisty. She is. And
Yeah.
she's and she has her own opinion that she's not going to sway from, like you said.
Exactly.
She's not wishy-washy, so we like that about Marissa.
Yes,
I don't like
that.
wishy-washy people.
No.
I'd rather you be honest with me and, you know, tell me to my face something than just be like, ambivalent and, you know, pandering, because that pisses me off when people try to pander.
Yeah.
I don't like that shit. Tell me about how, like, what you feel like now, as far as, like, now you're opening up the business and you are going to be going into this new venture in Hollywood. How is that? How are you going to balance that? How are you going to... Are you even thinking about that yet?
Yes, because when I was in LA and I was meeting with the execs, they're like, "So you're gonna move to LA?" I'm like, "I just opened a business, and I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna balance it. I think that the good thing is, you know, working with writers and stuff. A lot of it is Zoom and you know, computers and stuff like that. So I will have the ability to be here and still be working for the stuff that I have going on in LA. But then again, I don't know, like the spa could take off and I'm doing facials. I'll be in the middle, like talking, texting, rubbing someone's scalp. I don't know. I'm just going to have to see how that plays out. You know, I do. And the mistake that I made was when I did Mob Wives, and that's what I was trying to say earlier. I thought I was going to be like this huge reality TV star that was going to be traveling all over the world in private jets. But I stepped away from the skincare, and that was what I'm not going to do now.
Yeah.
Like I love it. And I just opened the spa, and I always want to be, you know, in the background and definitely doing the treatments myself. I mean, listen, if the show that we're working on becomes a huge hit, hopefully, and my time is more required there, then I'll have to figure things out. But right now, my main hub is the spa.
And that should be, because now you want to have something that you're going to sustain too, right?
Yes.
As we're getting older, we
Yes.
want to have some sustainability with income, obviously. And, you know, and you also want your business to thrive.
Right.
Too.
And that's what, I mean, if you're having other people on your show that have been in the reality TV world, that's the thing. Like, you'll get a season, and then it's like, you got to hope the next season comes.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
Mob Wives, we were lucky
Right.
to keep it going. And then I was fortunate enough to get an executive producer deal, and I did, you know, 2 shows with them after, and, you know, moving forward, I've had great opportunities, but you're
And a lot
always
of people
going
don't
after
get
that
that.
check.
Not
so
every-
yes, like you said,
you know.
the business is something that's solid. That's
Yes.
what you're going to build. And yes, I don't think people do realize that, because when you're, you know, you're looking, it's like, oh, I just got signed to this TV show,
Right.
and everything's going to be, you know, fairies and butterflies, but
But, you know, and also, it's also pay.
It's a job.
Too. It's a job. And people are not making millions of dollars doing reality. I
Right.
mean, you know, let's be honest, a lot of people cannot sustain living
Right.
what they're making. I mean, and there's some elite people who do make a lot of money, but, you know,
Right.
it's not like...
it's a job, and it's
It's a
like
job.
in anything, you have to be a hustler. You
Yeah,
have to
you have to
figure
be
it out.
hustle. You have to figure out, you know, if you're going to get, you know, endorsements, things like that. That's
Right.
where you're going to make the money. You know, that's where you should, or starting a business. I mean, that's what you have to look at it as. You have to look at it as an opportunity to expand on
Right.
something that you want to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
you know,
I've also done like a couple of things with my father that was, you know, working in the industry. We've done a couple of different documentaries. I actually have one that I filmed in the summer that will be coming out, I think, in May or June. So I've been...
and where will that be on?
I want to think it's going to... I'm not sure. I think it's HBO Max.
Okay.
So, yeah, I did one for ABC, Hulu with him. That was actually huge. It did really, really well. So I've had the opportunity
To do projects.
To do projects, yeah.
And the projects are fun, you know, especially when you like that kind of
Yeah.
scripted and
Yeah.
you know, that writing. You know, did you write a lot of the documentary? Did you?
No, those are other production companies that actually came to us to work, and I didn't have any involvement in production with that. The only production I had was with the MTV show, Families of the Mafia, and this one.
And
that
this
I will
one, you're
have-
going to be writing it and
It's going to be a
producing
scripted,
it.
yes. I'm going to be working with a writer, so I'll be like a consultant on it and producing.
That's so exciting.
So
I'm so
exciting.
excited for you. I better get a part.
Yes.
I want to.
Yes. There's definitely a part for you in that. I can figure.
Because I am a character, that's for sure. And I've got my hair stuck in my glasses. Oh my God. So I also wanted to ask you, how is your daughter doing?
My daughter is amazing. She is like, when you have a child, you always wish your kid's going to be better than you. Mm-hmm. And she's fulfilled all those dreams for me. She is such she definitely
She's
got that
kid.
drive and hustle.
Mm-hmm.
She works, she does amazing, and yes, she is a good kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that she's like my bad best friend because she's always yelling at me. But I'm her assistant.
She feels like you're her she's your mother. Like I feel like that with my daughter too, with my older daughter.
I can't even tell you how many times she sees me drinking and she's got to go, get her out. She kicked me out of multiple parties. But
You had her very young too, right?
No, I had her 27. But it's just been her, right? Because after I had her dad, my whole family got arrested in Arizona.
So you were by yourself with her, basically.
And my mother helped me raise her. Like, I went to work and I had a spa in Arizona. So I was running the spa. My mother, it's like we were a married couple, literally. I moved back in with her and she was taking care of my brother's son and my daughter. So they grew up like brother and sister. And I was working. So Karina always seen that with me.
She saw you as a hustler and and a go-getter.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's important, especially for girls to see.
Yeah.
And especially in the background we grew up in, most women don't work.
Oh, yeah.
They're home, right?
Yes.
But especially in our genre, our community, they stay home. I mean, we're like the very 1% of our population that actually would go out and work and build a business.
I was just having this conversation with my cousin. I'm like, you were married at 18, the whole big traditional
and that was normal.
Italian
My friends
wedding
were married
with 500
so young.
people.
Yeah.
Like it's so
and
crazy.
And that's immediate family, 500 people.
It's so crazy because I think I willed this on myself because I'm like, I'm never getting married. And here I am, 51. My grandma's like, she has dementia now. She's like, you're married? Yeah, I'm like, yeah, Grandma, I got married.
Just tell her you got married.
Yeah.
See, I got married years ago.
Yeah, I never wanted it. I would see it, how many weddings we go to and stuff.
God.
And I was just like looking at it like, this is too much work. The pictures, the limos, the church, having to kiss everyone.
I know. It's over in 4 hours.
And then it's over. I was like,
I'm planning my daughter's wedding now. I'm like, oh my God. I said, look, can we just, I said, can we just go to a destination and just invite who we want? Mm-hmm. I said, you really want a big wedding? We'll do it. You want the tradition, but now I swayed her to do it on an island. I figure it's so much nicer. It's like a 5-day extravaganza. Mm-hmm. It's not over in 4 hours.
Yes.
You're away with people that you love. And I said, and the people that you really want to come will come, and the people that you don't really want to come won't come.
Yes.
And, you know what I mean? So it's like that kills two birds with one stone.
Well, you could be like me, and then like you could find someone that's in a federal prison and just do it right there and go in the thing. You do that little marriage real quick in the visiting room. You don't have to pay anything for that.
They do it for free.
They do it for free, actually. Yeah, I think I get cookies and juice, but no, I wouldn't do that. I don't.
Oh
my
God, I hated those vending machines.
Yes, the vending machine food.
I never ever want to visit a prison ever again. At one time, I was getting letters from 3 prisons. My postman was probably like, "What the hell is wrong with her?"
I know. Yes.
This is so funny because I know none of my other friends, anybody that's out of like our genre, our lifestyle, don't know people in prison or know people went to jail. I know I could name like 10 on like the people that are close to me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's not normal. Yes. And I always thought that was normal, and it's really not normal.
I know
it's crazy.
I know, but you know when you find someone that you care about and love, and whether it's a family member or whatever, you have to be there with them.
Yeah,
you can't. And that's just my personality. Like, especially for even like the guy that I'm with, mm-hmm. like I see the situations that he went through and like the unfair sentencing, and then I become like obsessed with like prison reform and all this other stuff, which I've been,
I learned the whole prison system, but with between federal and state. I went through like it was crazy because of what he was charged with. It was crazy, and how like the concurrent sentences. I became like I wanted to actually help women and help people who go through the same thing because it was crazy. I was like, you become an advocate
number.
for it,
and these people just become numbers, and they're in there and they're stuck. And there's so much, there's so much leadway that has been made, and like even talking about reality stars, Kim Kardashian, like helping people come home from prison with, there's new laws that are, and actually November 1st, another law for compassionate release just went into effect to help people come home because it's such unfair sentencing. There's so many people that are doing life in prison or 50 to 100 years.
These are prosecutors that need to reach a quota.
Yeah.
And that's it. Or they want to make their bones with somebody, somebody who's got a name.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's what a lot of the prosecutors in New York are all about.
Yeah.
Forget
Well,
about the
good thing-
people. Yeah.
It's a good thing that they are changing the laws now and realizing that there was such harsh sentencing and people are coming home. But it's still a fight, and a lot of people don't have money, like because you go away for so many years, and then it's the access to money and little things like even being able to go online and check someone's case number and help get paperwork. It's so expensive for them in there, but it's so much needed. And there's like, there are a lot of organizations. Like I worked with decarceration, that foundation that helps people. There's so many that, Families Against Mandatory Minimums that, help people. So hopefully, some things will change. And listen, people, you've committed a crime, you have to go to jail.
Right.
I understand, but some of those sentencing is so unfair.
There was been a lot of sentencing that was unfair.
And definitely a lot of like racial imbalance in the system. And I think that they're starting to see that and correct it now. So.
Well, we hope that they correct it before in our lifetime. We'll see though. It might not happen, but let's hope it does. But Karen, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I could sit here and talk to you forever.
I know, but you're going to come
people.
back again because now we got to talk to you about your project when it's in motion.
Yes, it's in motion.
And see how the business is in, a few months and how that's flourishing, which I know it's gonna. And I'm so proud of you and I love you.
I love you
My
too.
dear friend, I'm so happy.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody have a great day. Miss Karen Gravano.